Hello, I want to give you one more free tip today on poetry. And this tip is going to open your eyes on something that is definitely not true, okay, about poetry. Um, People have been told that there's a such thing as a bad poem. There's no such thing as a bad poem. It's a poem that does not arouse the pleasure in which the poet intended to arouse. So basically, the poem did not do its job in arousing the pleasure. It basically fell short of it in different parts within. So, for a poet to fix this, they should walk away from the poem, return, look at the poem from a different perspective, and search within that poem to see if there was another poem that was trying to come through in your unsubconsciousness, but you were so busy controlling it or you was disconnected with your unsubconsciousness. So what ended up happening is you end up being a director of the poem instead of letting the poem that was trying to come through you just come out. So, and this often happens when we're just being impatient with the connection we are having with our unsubconscious, when we're not just letting ourselves be captivated by our unsubconsciousness. A lot of times we are so connected with everything that's going on around us that starts to spill into our rhythm and connection, spiritual connection to our subject, our idea, grand idea that we're using to write our poem. So what ends up happening is we end up writing on all these different things is inside one poem, and the poem just doesn't make sense. It's almost like just splattering all kind of colors on a canvas and hoping that it becomes an abstract that is enlightening, and that's like a crap shot. So you don't want to do it that way. There are abstract artists that are doing things on purpose. They still have an idea, a concept in mind when they paint these abstract paintings. So you still have to have that set in your mind before you write your poem. So have your general image in your mind so that you don't go off track. And that is why the poem ended up being, quote, seen as bad when it's not bad. It just didn't do what it was supposed to do, what you wanted it to do, affect your reader the way you wanted it to, and it did not have slanted clarity. So it didn't have those images within images within images. The poem wasn't layered. It didn't have any depth because, as I said, at some point you were disconnecting and reconnecting, disconnecting, reconnecting with your unsubconsciousness during the process. So this is why I say you should be a student of mine, because I will get rid of all that unnecessary rocks being thrown into the lake in your subconsciousness and causing these ripples when all it takes is for you to let the ripples happen naturally with the breeze of inspiration that is coming with your connection to a main idea. So that wants to come into your unsubconsciousness and cause this ripple. And that main idea is the feeling that you have. And that feeling is a part of a broad image, okay? A very specific image to begin with, okay? I hope you understood that. It's important to understand that poetry is spiritual, okay? Your connection with it. So you should be meditating, very relaxed, one with yourself, one with your main idea, and totally at, peace with, as far as not fighting with other energies and forces out there and what's around you. That it's just you, okay, in this room of light. And you can invite whatever main image in there. And then that room becomes your unsubconsciousness. Okay? So rise up. Let your spirit rise up into your unsubconsciousness. And remain there, clinging to that main image. And literally extracting the essence of that main image. Looking insight into sight into that main image and letting it spill down into your spirit and down into the page. Your pen, down into your pen and then into your page. Okay? But if your connection, your spirit rising up tends to stop and start, then guess what? You're extracting the essence out of your unsubconscious in bits. And in those little bits, between those are breaks. And in those breaks is this unnecessary ripple in your unsubconsciousness. And what ends up happening is you lose your connection with the main idea. Your spirit is connecting to, rising up to connect. And you break that connection, and what ends up happening, if you break that connection, even for a minute, you lose that spiritual connection with that main idea. And then that main idea becomes so obscured and so masked that you have to force yourself to reconnect all over again. So it's like jumping and starting a car, jumping and starting a car, jumping and starting a car. At some point, you're going to break the car. You're going to break the starter of the car. And you may just have to say, okay, I have to walk away. I have to walk away from this car. Maybe come tomorrow and turn it on and see if it just comes right on. And I'm not turning it on and off, because if you keep turning anything on and off, you're going to break it. And this is what happens when poets have so many interruptions coming in. They start to have difficulty connecting with their unsubconscious because they're always breaking from it so much. So my spirit lives in my unsubconsciousness throughout an entire day. I may momentarily drift down from it just a moment to talk to my daughter. But even in that moment of talking, I'm rising my spirit back up to my subconsciousness. Okay? I try not to let myself completely disconnect from my unsubconsciousness. Okay? So as a poet, see every experience throughout your day as a way to get closer and closer to your unsubconsciousness, and that experience to be found there. Okay? So as Emily Dickinson said, it feels like her head is popping off. For me, it feels like everything that's below, from my heart on down, is rising up and rising up and rising up and rising up and rising up until my body's just, this part down here is hanging down here. This is suspended right here. And I'm just everything from my heart down. Okay? I'm everything from my heart down. I'm all my organs, my liver, my spine, my heart. Everything is in my spirit, is in my unsubconsciousness. Okay? I have no use for eyes anymore. I have no use, because the eyes lie. Okay? The eyes are so stuck on perspective, one perspective. That's how we've been seeing all our life as kids, as children, from the day we're born. So from here on down in my body, from my heart on down, I feel like I'm traveling. My legs, I use my legs. I'm running. I'm running so fast that I am having a moment of enlightenment. Have you ever experienced something so swiftly that you feel like you were levitating, that you were elevating to another plane of existence? That's what it feels like for me, that my body, the bottom half of my body, is running up, running up fast into my subconsciousness. And then it's just floating. It's just floating. Okay? All right. So for you, try to imagine that your body is coming together like this. Okay. In your trance, while you're in your trance, and it's becoming sort of maybe an arrow, and it's going up into your unsubconsciousness, and it's that arrow is going right into that image that's in your unsubconsciousness, and it's extracting the essence out of the image that's in your unsubconsciousness. So don't ever think your poem is bad. Just see that it is a current. It came from a current from your body, and a current going up, the arrow going like this. And at some point, it kind of stalled. It went like this, going in and out of your subconsciousness. And so what ends up happening is you have these little falters in the poem that takes away from the pleasure in different ways. Okay? So I can be very inspiring. So I would recommend, before you even begin to write poetry, is to try to get used to meditating. I often do, I do it at least once a month. I actually do the divine knowledge chakra that is up in here. Okay? And I do this, I sit legs crossed, and I just connect with it. And I imagine all my energy going up and up and up into my divine chakra. And it's just this, here. And then I imagine there's great light from God, from heaven, coming down into my chakra. And my energy is meeting the light right here in my divine chakra. And it's just inspiring at that point. And it's filling me up, filling my mind up with poetic inspiration, with wisdom and divine knowledge that I can't find just in this mortal body, in this mortal world that is not going to last. It's not built to last. But the light within me that goes up and meets God's light that come down to divine chakra, that is meant to last. Okay? When I pass, I'm going to take that divine knowledge that I have received already in this mortal body, and it's going to be all of my soul. It's going to spill through my soul, and that is all I'm going to be. So I want you to realize that art is spiritual, and you have to become one with it. And you have to allow yourself to not see just from your own perspective of your own spirit, but the spirit of everything. Okay? And when you go up in that unsubconsciousness, that divine chakra of yours up here, you will see that you will start to see things not with your eyes, but with your spirit. And you will start to see things from the spirit of other things that is in your unsubconsciousness. And together you'll have a meeting of the minds. And this is even in your memories. Okay, you'll find your memories in there, and you'll have a reconnection with them, a new connection. And then you'll have a totally different spiritual connection to those memories. And what comes out of that is this beautiful poem or letter or story that is so slanted in these images of brevity, because you are not using the voice of your eyes, just your eyes and your body. You're using the voice of your spirit and the spirits that are all around you, the spirits of everything else. Everything. You are allowing everything else to have a voice of their spirit as well. And that requires a lot of selflessness. You need to become selflessness and open, okay? And not vain in your own voice and your own way of interpreting things and revealing dark and light. You want to receive the dark and light of what's in your unsubconsciousness too, okay? And that creates this beautiful poem that just dances on the page with such beautiful pleasure, and the dance tells a life-inspiring story. Think of it as that, okay? I hope I inspired you. This is why I teach poetry. I don't teach it because I feel I went to college and all these years. I've taken many courses, but the one course that helped me was what Jack Kerouac said, okay? The unsubconsciousness. Your unsubconsciousness, that connection is going to get you there, okay? It's going to get you into your own spirit where there's a great poet that is waiting to just burst. There's a star inside of you waiting to burst, okay? And it's waiting to burst to inspire everything, okay? Grant the wishes of everything. Thanks for listening.